So where am I? Can you guess? Can you guess where I am today? A parking lot. That's obvious. What else? What else can you tell? Not a thing. I'm gonna take this off. Well, y'all guess where I'm at. I just had my pap smear and my annual pap smear, and I got my order for my mammogram and bone density test. And some people would be like, Beth, that is so oversharing. No, because I feel a sense of, what's the word? A sense of encouragement, not responsibility, but a sense of encouragement to you ladies. And of course you have to, now that you're all checked out and decked out and all that, you gotta put your lip gloss back on. And that is my Chanel in rose, soft rose. But anyway, I want to encourage y'all, if you have not done so already this year, or if you've not made your appointment, make your appointment, because I found out that I thought, oh, it's been about a year, maybe a year and a half. I'm probably in trouble. I should do better than that. Been 4 years. 4 years. I was like, no, it hasn't been 4 years. And they said, no, ma'am, it has been. Y'all, we need to encourage each other to pay attention to the important appointments of life. And for a woman, having an annual PAP is so important, to look for cervical cancer. Also with the exam where they actually feel up inside of you, they are looking for uterine and ovarian, which can really only be found, the ovarian, from the gynecologist. Mine is Dr. Gail Gross, and she's awesome. She is wonderful. She's the most knowledgeable, warm and friendly, amazing woman, period. But also as a gynecologist, I've gone to her for over 30 years. And she's very gentle, but one of the things she told me was the only way to be sure about ovarian, that's the tough test that we don't really have a lot for, is when they actually physically feel the ovaries with their hands for any sign of node or cyst or lump of any kind. And so it's very important that you have those tests, all of them. Then she prescribes my mammogram and a bone density. Why is that important? Bone density, because of osteoporosis, to make sure that you're not in need of any medication, but that there are some things you can do. And number one, guess what it is? Same thing for diet, same thing for obesity, same thing for diabetes. Same thing for the heart. Exercise and placing weight on the bones is what helps them increase in density. She says that if there's one good thing about obesity, but it's not a good enough thing, she said it is that you're putting weight on your bones. So that does help a little, but she says I'd rather you got the obesity dealt with, and that's not how we deal with your body. So she really wants me to lose the weight, and we talked about what kind of things are the motivational things that I'm missing. I make this wrong turn almost every single time. Always turn early. Every time. And then I always correct it. All right, so 285. I do want to go to 285 West. Yes, that's what I want to do. She said, what are the things you like to do? And I told her YouTube. I said, what I'm realizing is I don't have a lot of hobbies, and a lot of the hobbies I used to enjoy. I enjoy Bible study, enjoy cross stitching, both of which are sitting down. YouTube is, for the most part, sitting down. And I said, that's bad. She goes, no, it's good that you have hobbies. That's one of the things, because mentally it helps you. She goes, maybe use those to kind of motivate yourself to get the initial 10 pounds off. Maybe you try something where they tell you what to eat, like they even prescribe to you the food, like you have to buy their food, like a Jenny Craig or I think Quick Weight Loss and Nutrisystems do that. Can't remember. Anyway, she says the good thing about those, even though they're not sustainable for a long period of time, is they are maybe the jump start you need to start looking at portion control. Another thing she said you can do is simply have a half cup little cup, or measure your food before you eat it, and so that you get a visual understanding. I know when I met with my nutritionist, she gave me a visual understanding of, this is what you eat, your fists. She says, you know, this much, the palm of the size of your hand, just imagine that the fingers aren't there, the size of the palm of your hand is what you should have as a protein, and the other side should be vegetables and fruit. And she said also fitting within that, grains. And so what we start looking at is, well, that's not much food. It's like, you don't really need much food to sustain yourself. So make what you do eat delicious, filling. That's where, you know, proteins and certain carbs are good. It's just the amount. It's always the amount. Don't take in more amount than you need to be sustained. And I think the thing that's going on in this society, and she said it's very hard not to be obese in this society, because we have retrained for the purpose of economy, meaning restaurants and just, you know, the way things are portrayed to us, even at the grocery store, is that the amount of food we eat usually is a platter, meaning it should be for 4 people, not 1 person. And I thought, you know, that's actually true, the size of the plate. She says, you know, switch to the salad plate to eat off of, and you will not feel like you're not getting enough food, because a lot of it's a visual cue, a lot of it is a mental expectation of what you should eat to feel sustained. And she says that's not what you really need. She says there's nothing wrong with having an occasional treat, but we're talking about a piece of candy, like a dark chocolate piece of candy. Skip the milk chocolate, go with the dark chocolate. It gives you the sweet that you need at the end of the meal to feel like you had your dessert and be done. Don't have some big, huge thing dessert that was as big as your meal. She said it's the amount of food we eat. You can eat just about any kind of food that you want to eat. It's very important that in that, fruit and vegetables are a part of it, especially vegetables. You can go a little light on the fruit, or it can be your one treat at the end that makes your dessert. Like I like a strawberry or 2 for my dessert, or a piece of apple or 2. Just, you can use the fruit as your dessert, because that's that sweet thing that we seem to need, or kind of tells us the meal is complete. She said, and also it is very bad, and could not stress enough how bad it was that I'm sedentary. She says, Beth, this is just so bad for your circulatory system. It's very bad for your bones. It's very bad for your muscles, because they will actually begin to atrophy. And I said, I know. I said, I tried to run and I actually fell in the ground, and I was like, what's wrong with me? What happened to me? I thought I was stronger than I was. My muscles are not as strong. And she says, it's not as hard as you think to get back. She gave me this sheet that she wrote, and it is so sweet and wonderful. And she talked about, you know, we all want to do the big workout. We all want to walk every day. We all want to do all these things, and those are great, and you should go for that. But if you can't, if you're at the end of the day and you have not done anything, don't just stay inactive. She goes, dance. She goes, turn on music, turn it on loud, and dance around your bedroom, dance around your living room, dance around your sunroom. Just dance. Find a song that you like, that you know is going to get you working it. Shake your booty. Be embarrassed. This is for fun. This is for, when I say be embarrassed, be carefree. Don't worry about anything. This is for you and your exercise and your mental well-being. Because she says, Beth, I think somewhere mentally you got a block. And she said, you mentioned your mom dying all the time when you talk about you don't know why you're not motivated. She goes, there may have been some depression there. You're just not acknowledging it. So, well, actually I am acknowledging it. I don't know. I don't know why. And she goes, well, instead of trying to psychoanalyze it, which maybe you should see a psychologist. It's funny because that's what I have a degree in, and I already knew that. I have actually seen someone right after Mom died, and I couldn't seem to shake all the guilt of the decisions we made, that ultimately the day my mom died was up to God anyway. And I know that if I was talking to me, that it wasn't me. It's kind of deity thinking to think that you can control the day of someone's death, and I know better than that. But there is a certain amount of guilt of, gosh, if we'd only done this doctor instead of that doctor, this procedure instead of that one, she'd still be here. You know, it's illogical, it's wrong, it is wrong, I know it's wrong, I'm saying it's wrong, and I keep reminding myself that. But when you also are dealing with a 91-year-old dad, you worry about the same thing. It's very depressing to focus on nothing but what your poops look like and how often they are, and what drugs you're taking, and are they morning or night, and what are they for, and what do they do, and what is your diet, and what is it for, and what does it do. It just gets old, and it's depressing. And she says, that's why I want you to dance. Sometimes, Beth, you have to just not be so into the medical and physical side of life, even though it's important. Sometimes you got to do what's best for you mentally, and that is to laugh and to dance and to get those endorphin rushes going and get your blood pumping, because if you lose even 5 pounds or 10 pounds, you will be motivated. That is often what does motivate us. So let's just talk about the first 5 or 10 pounds, and then you will find yourself cutting those portions, and you will, instead of eating high carb, high glycemic food, you'll find yourself making better choices, both food and beverage. It has to be both. Some of the biggest diet kills are beverages, y'all, of all kinds, whether it's alcohol, whether it's fruit juice, whether it's sodas, whether it's flavored waters that aren't so sugar-free as you think, and just feeling like you haven't had enough to eat because we're so used to eating big, huge amounts, like the size of my face instead of the size of my chin. And so it's like, you know what? That's true. I remember when I was young, I didn't have a lot to eat. She goes, that's because you didn't eat that much. You still don't. You just do it for pleasure. And sometimes you do it to get yourself out of a glumness. Or, you know, I got to thinking about when I have to, I say I have to, but think about that. Buy a new piece of jewelry or a new handbag because it's something new and something exciting, and it's like, once in a blue moon, that's okay. But when you do it so much, you have to stop and ask yourself, is that what motivates you or gets you feeling happy? Because that's not good, because those things, as Christ said, it'll be a continual lust for more. It'll never satisfy. Only He satisfies. And I think, well, does getting down in the Word of God, is that supposed to make me feel better? Do you know what it does? Whenever I sit down and do a Bible study, I do feel better. When I discuss it with y'all, I do feel better. And I feel more motivated to take care of myself and others. So I hope you guys from this will seriously go get your test done and take care of yourself. And let's motivate each other. Let's motivate each other to do what we need to do to get ourselves in as good a health as we can control. There's some things we cannot control, both mentally and physically. Okay, so let's promise each other tonight we're going to dance. Sometime before you go to bed, you're going to dance for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. All right? Love you guys. Bye.